Welcome home, family. Welcome back to the channel. Look at that, beautiful, beautiful. So, in today's video, I would like to approach the topic of definitions. Approach the topic of definitions and how we use words, and where we can, as much as possible, to make use of expansive language. Making use of expansive language. And I think a big part of it really just comes down to how we view words and what we ourselves believe them to mean. And because there's a lot of words, even within our language, within our culture and society, there are certain words that will be used in different ways for different contexts. You know, nice and basic, really, that. But then it's noticing that if there are certain, I think even when we can use the same word in different contexts, we can still, how we perceive them can be very rigid and set in stone. And I think this is just something that I felt called to address, mainly because I feel that we can basically suffer a lot less and not get quite so triggered, involved, confused with these certain words and the meanings they hold to us. So I think it feels only right to start with sort of a basic understanding that we all have our own definitions for words, and as much as there'll be, you know, there's a dictionary definition, even words that have a set dictionary definition, there'll be certain words that you'll use in a slightly different meaning, and it will hold a slightly different definition to you. And especially, and this is noticed when you hear it, when you receive it, you know. And I believe that it's very important to remain as expansive as we can and not be fixed and rigid with our definitions. And I feel that where we've come from, I know it can be a slightly controversial topic, but with such evidence as the Bible, I personally believe, and from the guidance that I've received, this is it seems in alignment, that there's a lot of the Bible that is speaking metaphorically and not literally. And I believe that sometimes, just from what I've noticed, that when certain powers that be are seeking to control or influence certain behaviours, then those definitions are always really strict and rigid, and in my personal opinion have come when you twist the original intention of the message, I think is the clearest way to put it. There's certain aspects that if you can allow a metaphorical understanding to take place also, as well as, you know, you don't have to replace it and only think in metaphor. You know, as much as that could be fun. You know, I get that we need to get shit done, and there's a certain amount of importance to the rigidness of words. If we all had completely different, you know, definitions, then it would be hard to hold a conversation. You know, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. So there's a certain balance that is definitely required here. But I think ultimately that, most importantly, to be able to find the metaphors and the hidden meanings and the analogies, you know, beneath the Webster Dictionary definition, you know. and I've truly found that my struggle, my strife has eased a lot. I felt like, you know, this journey, awakening, whatever, you know, expanding in consciousness, whatever you'd want to call it, especially in my earlier days, I found it quite a big aspect, quite a big part of it. And don't get me wrong, I even found that to a certain extent I was almost doing this a bit too much. And I noticed it was great when I was by myself and I'm reading things and I'm just taking in information from the world that only I need to understand, you know, because it's just me in the room or whatever. But when having a conversation with somebody, I did notice there would be some times where, even if I clock how they're using it and how I'm using it, Or, you know, maybe that's an important thing. Maybe that's an important aspect, to be able to, to be able to clock how somebody else is meaning those words, own how, you know, we mean the words, and hold a space for both. Hold a space for both. Because I think that, I found that sometimes, I tell you what, so if you start trying to get a point across, I think this becomes a lot easier. I think, as I notice it then when I think about it, I only ran into certain issues when certain feelings of this isn't working, this unique definition thing. Although we're all doing it to a certain extent anyway, when you clock it and you realise you have that power, you then can completely take it into your own hands, and there isn't a single word that you couldn't redefine to, you know what I mean, to mean something, and to mean something else, which therefore, when in these conversations, it can get slightly confusing. But I think ultimately, to remain in a state of acceptance for whatever way the person that you're speaking to, the soul, the being that you're interacting with, communicating with, to be able to accept their use of the words, and to be able to obviously accept our own as well, and know that there doesn't need to be approving. No one needs to prove anything to each other. We've all got our own definitions, and there's no right or wrong answer. It just is our own, you know, it just is unique. It's as simple as that. So I believe that basically we can just be a lot happier within ourselves and the world around us, you know, the world that we're in. If we can detach a little bit from these fixed, rigid definitions. Because I believe that ultimately spirit is light, soul is light, it's not fixed, it's not rigid. Yes, there's a very much a dominant, you know, protector energy, divine masculine, you know, that is present and that is necessary for the state we're in. But just allow conversations. I think maybe that's a good way of wording it, is that energy really necessary when we're merely conversing? Because I feel like as a race we're gonna, you know, evolve a lot quicker, ascend a lot quicker, if we are able to seek understanding of others, and seek understanding of ourselves. I think being a key aspect of this, of the point that I wish to make here. And just play with it. I'm curious, like, at me in the comments, and, you know, I'm curious to see what people's thoughts and feelings are on this subject, because it's something that I've thought about for a long time. And it always felt right to address it, you know. And I thought making a video on it is a great way to do that. And I don't plan these things. I just see what comes through. So don't be surprised if in a later video I pick up this same topic and go a bit more in depth maybe, or think of some good, you know, analogies, examples to demonstrate what I mean. And feel free if people would find that useful, you know, that's interesting, and then let me know, and I'll be more than happy to do that, my family. But and obviously I don't have all the answers as well. I think it's very important that, I think sometimes with this dynamic of having a channel, and as being the one who gives the information, I just wanted to make it quite clear that I certainly don't have all the answers. I don't have any answer. I know nothing. I think I feel it important to claim that. In this moment, and let you guys know that that's the position I'm coming from. So and I'm always looking to learn and grow. You know, I believe that's why we're here. You know, so always happy to take on board other comments and see what people are saying. And, you know, I think that's essential. And I believe I've mentioned that in a previous video about how we've all got our own medicine, we've all got our own information and our own answers. And I feel like slowly over time, as much as we are coming to our own answers, you know, if you ask a question, the answer is always going to be within you. But sometimes we have certain barriers that can block us from gaining access, you know what I mean, to those answers. So therefore, if somebody else has learned that answer, then, you know, then we can help them, fill in the gaps, like I said in a previous video. I think it's a good way to word that, because ultimately, that's all we are anyway, is the formation, you know, of soul, of vessel, of, you know, incarnate upon earth in this time. And you know, so yeah, so together we are all filling in the gaps, you know, physically and mentally, and all for the sake of growth and expansion. And I believe that through seeking understanding of others and seeking understanding of one's own self, then these, if I may say so, petty arguments, I think, like, you know, we can sort of just leave them to fall to the wayside, or they'll simply cease to exist because how we realise how they're serving us. We realise how they're serving us, and we realise that they're serving a lower aspect of ourselves. And a lot of the time it's about wanting to be right, or feeling that we are inherently right. And yeah, for me personally, I kind of believe that he who knows, you know, he who knows does not say. And so there's a certain aspect that I always feel like, even if you believe your truth, you know, you claim to believe your truth, I certainly accept that. But I think sometimes when you need, this is just in my experience, and again, let me know, people, what your thoughts are on this. When I see people trying to prove their point, like, it definitely could still be truth, you know, it could still be truth, but it doesn't really feel like my truth. As soon as somebody starts to push it on me, it feels inorganic. And it also feels like, if you gain all the wisdom that, you know what I mean, that there is to gain from that piece of information, then, you know, be content and be grateful, you know, that this information, this truth, this deep aspect, level of truth, you know, has become present within your awareness, within your field. Be grateful for that, and don't judge others who haven't learnt those lessons. I think that's an important one, which I may come back to in another video. Yeah, I think it's important. Take those moments, reground, come back into center. Sometimes we can operate on a sort of autopilot, which I think is great at certain times for certain activities. So something like this, where I want to convey a heart-based message of medicine, you know. Yeah, it's always good to take those pauses. The power contained within our pause. So yeah, in this time, as where we can, where we feel it's possible, as a practice, if we feel moved to do so, and only ever if we feel moved to do so, yeah, think about how we're using our words, and how you're noticing other people use their words, and see how, if you attach less to your definitions and your belief of what's right, if there's a more cohesive communication that takes place between whoever it is that you're communicating with, interacting with. We're all just souls inside vessels, and I'm there may be a lot of people out there who don't agree with that, but we're all humans then, you know what I mean? There's always going to be a common factor, a unifying common factor. And it's definitely not about the words, ideas and concepts. It's about what is. It's about reality, the reality in which we abide, you know, which is truth in its truest essence, you know, in its clearest form. Yeah, and I believe that that sort of clarity is truly the strength that it offers us, the strength that is required to get over any adversity, any seemingly pitfalls, you know what I mean, when we're feeling stuck and stagnant, or, you know, just annoyed at the world, triggered. Listen to those triggers, sit with those triggers, love those triggers. Those you know, I've spoken in recent videos about loving your wounds. You know, I believe that there's a very close, very close link between the two. You know, so therefore, hold compassion. Do you know what I mean? And like, yeah, triggers. Be aware of the triggers. It's good. It's how can we know ourselves without owning our triggers? Without knowing and owning our triggers, you know? I think it's so important. And yeah, sit with them, be with them. Think a little bit about tracing the root of where you think they might come from. You know, these are all basic things which I'm sure, you know, you've heard in other places, but I feel it's important to give those gentle reminders, you know, from ourselves, because I think a lot of the time great information can get passed around, and sometimes, you know, it turns into cliches. You know what I mean? People hear it a lot, and that's another thing as well. Is, yeah, we just hear it a lot, and then when somebody gives us that information, which may abide in reality and offer a deep level of truth and understanding of one's, you know, of self and reality, then yeah, the more clearer the picture becomes, you know, and that's what it's all about, I believe. This time incarnating on Earth, you know, we're merely roaming around in the name of experience, in the name of reclaiming a deeper understanding of what is. And as much as the mind likes to try and work out and question the as to why, ultimately I don't believe that's what we're being asked. I believe that Holy Mother, Holy Father has all those answers of why, all these, why it's taking place exactly the way it is. So just focus on ourselves and focus on why we're behaving in the ways that we are. And hopefully we'll see a bit more peace and spread a bit more love, joy, you know. And it takes courage. It takes courage, and it takes bravery in it. And it takes a breaking of all patterns and cycles that we've been taught growing up, you know what I mean? To remain small and to doubt ourselves, and to, yeah, just not believe in ourselves and our power and our intelligence, you know. And I think it's so important in this time to reclaim that, you know. As a sovereign being, we've got to believe in ourselves. And I think it's, you know, an important aspect of that, again, all balance, is owning what we don't know. Do you know what I mean? Where, yeah, what we know we don't know, owning, and then holding a whole lot of space for the understanding that we don't know what we don't know, and we can't know what we don't know. You know what I mean? So yeah, so the things that you know you don't know and you wish to know more about, seek that understanding. Do you know what I mean? Persevere with that learning. But also always remember there's so many aspects of life which we haven't even got a clue. Do you know what I mean? We haven't even touched the surface, sort of thing. And that's also okay. You know what I mean? To be able to sit with that. And I think once we can truly accept that within ourselves, honestly, life becomes a lot more graceful, and dare I say it, easy. You know what I mean? We move with ease, and therefore the difficulty feels a lot less hard. Yeah, I think that's a good way to word it. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there for this one. But sending so much of my love to all the family out there, grounding in those pillars, white light, golden white light. I am that I am. I am. Shinuza swaharimu shayaum. Baloosh, baloosh, baloosh. Yee!